Good evening, everyone. Hello, my name is Brianna Moore, and I am one of the adult reference librarians here at the Oceanside Library. I am accompanied by our head of adult services, Nadine Spano, and our head of marketing, Deborah Keener. So I'm very excited to introduce tonight's guest, and we also have a little surprise at the end, and I'll mention that coming up. But before we get to that, I want to say a big thank you to our Oceanside patrons in the Oceanside community for supporting the library and also participating in our summer reading program. We know times haven't been easy and this is a strange period, but it means so much that we still have our patrons' trust in the building, in the staff, and in the services that we provide. So we want to say a big thank you. Also, I want to say a big thank you to the staff for the energy and hard work that's been going on, not just for the summer, but for this year. And a special thank you to our board of trustees for their support, as well as our lovely director, Chris Mara, and our Force of Nature Director of Community Services, Tony Iovino. So thank you all so much for the support, and I'm glad we get to have events like these. This is really special, and I hope you guys enjoy tonight's event. So what we're going to be doing, we're having a raffle drawing for the for anyone who's participated during the summer reading program and during this event. So if you could please put your full name, first and last name, as well as your home library into the chat, and that will be entered in the raffle. Our raffle will be, what's the word I'm thinking of? Will be drawn at the end of this program, so please stay tuned. Nadine, did I miss anything?
No, I think you're all good.
Okay, so I have the lovely opportunity and honor to introduce tonight's guest, which is Mr. Stephen Mack Jones. He is an author, poet, and playwright. Tonight's focus is kind of going to be on his crime mystery series, August Snow. This was published by Soho Press and released in 2017. This received critical acclaim in media outlets such as the Wall Street Journal, Chicago Tribune, Boston Globe, and Kirkus. The following up novel, which is called Lives Laid Away, which was published in 2019, and I believe you might have something coming up soon. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
So can you guys help? Let's welcome Stephen Mack Jones.
Hi, everybody.
This had a soundboard. So I'd be like, airwords.
Oh, this is like Hollywood Squares, isn't it?
It's so cool. So,
I'll take Paul Lynn for 7. Anyway, yes, it's great to be here.
Happy to have you. So help me out here. From what I read on your bio, you came from advertising and marketing, but you're a poet and accomplished playwright, and you're also an author of a crime series. This is a really interesting writing journey. Could you tell us more about that?
Well, it's a journey that took some time. I've always enjoyed writing. I've always enjoyed reading. I wrote the play, my first play, Back in the World, about African-American Vietnam veterans while I was working at a computer software company. So I was working by day, writing by night. And that play was performed here in Detroit and went on to off-Broadway. And when I say off-Broadway, about 3 inches before you hit the New Jersey border, and Chicago. So I've always kind of kept my foot in the water.
Okay.
As far as the novels go, I wish there was some really romantic, amazing story I could tell you about how I came to this first novel. But the truth of it is, as I mentioned, my wife and I are empty nesters. And at the time, I was retired, and Mary Kate was still going to work. So I needed a way to entertain myself during the day.
Okay.
So I thought I would do what I had done with my son, and that was tell myself a story. And telling myself a story turned into the first draft of August Snow. I did not know it was going to be a crime thriller. I had no idea. I just wanted to keep my brain alive by telling myself a story.
Cool. Well, how did you come to the story? How did you come to August's story and his name? We were just saying before earlier today, we love his name, August Snow. And I'm like, did I name him Snow right now? Probably not. But his, like, just that name grabbed someone's attention. So how did you come across his narrative and story?
By mowing the lawn. Yeah, that's, again, I wish I had these great grand stories to tell you, but honestly, I was mowing the lawn maybe, 6 years ago in the back, and, mowing the lawn is just zen with a power tool. And I was mowing the lawn, and two words settled on my brain: snow and August. And, I laughed it off because it doesn't snow in August.
Yeah.
And they took root. They were like thistles on my brain. I couldn't get rid of them. And it was maybe a week later that I realized that I had written a 3-page treatment of a story that I thought maybe I'll work this up into something. And I looked at the treatment, and I had the story fairly well outlined, but every time it came to the main character, the hero, I had written hero. And I thought, well, now the baby is named August Snow.
Okay.
So, I wish I could have told you that it was something that my brother discovered when he was in Italy about, you'll build this chapel on this mountain in the middle of a 90-degree summer when you see a spot of snow. And that's, I'm not recounting it correctly. I wish I could have told you that, but it all came down to mowing the lawn.
That is perfect. Nature and man and their tools. Men and their tools. That's just like I think that's a great start that he came to you while you were mowing the lawn. But for those who are new to your work, can you give us a little bit of information about August Snow and your series?
Yes, of course. August Snow is the name of my main character. He is half African American, half Mexican American, or Blaxican. He lives in Mexican Town, which is southwest Detroit, a place that's populated with wonderful restaurants and some of the old Catholic churches. It's just a wonderful area of Detroit. August was a Marine sniper. He's a former Marine sniper and a former Detroit cop. He was kicked off of the Detroit police force because he started investigating the Detroit mayor's office. Wow, that could never happen, could it? So he lost the job that he loved, sued, won $12 million, went off to Europe and Southeast Asia to drink himself to death. That didn't work out. So he came home to his family home in Mexican Town and started refurbishing a street that had fallen into disrepair, using his money for that. And as a result, the neighborhood has grown with a number of personalities. In the first book, which is August Snow, a woman that he once helped as in his function as a Detroit police detective asks him for help investigating the investment bank that she owns in the center of Detroit. And he refuses because he's no longer a cop. He's not even a private cop. And the next day, she is found dead of an apparent suicide. So August decides that he has to investigate. And that's where the story goes.
So for anyone who's read it, because we were talking about it here in the office, that this book has a movie feel. Did you write this from a point of view of a screenwriter? Did it start as like you started as like writing as a novel, or did you do it from your background as a playwright as you developed it?
That's a good question. I didn't write it with movies, with film in mind, but I went to Michigan State University, and for a while I did study film, and I like it when background comes alive. I like it when a city or a town or a village takes on its own personality.
Okay.
And I learned from an early age that poetry, reading poetry, taught me the values of words, the color and the weight and the importance, the gravitas of every word. So mostly I'm very careful about the words I choose because I want to evoke a picture.
Yeah.
And sights and sounds and smells. That's very important to me.
And that's something as a reader, I can definitely feel like I've never been to Detroit, but I can imagine this place in a Mexican town. Sounds like such a colorful place. And we were mentioning food, and I know that's a question we're definitely going to get to because the food that you mentioned in here, Nadine said it made her mouth water.
I was hungry the whole novel, Steve.
I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. Whenever you reach a spot in one of the books about food, that's when you can tell I've started to get hungry and that I need to take a break. There we go. But yeah, food is very important. It may sound silly, but we all of us have breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks throughout the day, whatever. We either associate that breakfast, lunch, dinner with, I've got to rush here, or I need to think about something, or I'm feeling down, or I feel like a reward for having done something. Mm-hmm. And in my experience, it's been rare that I find characters eating. Except for one other character. This character. Yes, that is Nero Wolf. And I won the Nero Wolf Award, and I wasn't quite sure why until I went back and read some of the Nero Wolf books, and boy, what an appetite! You know, you really get hungry reading Nero Wolf. You know, so yeah, that's all of that, all of
Yeah.
what is a part of our daily living.
Hmm. And so August Snow, he's based in Detroit, and you are on the outskirts of Detroit. How much research did you have to do to really build the image of Mexican town in Detroit? Given that you do live close, but was there any other research involved for his environment and his story?
Well, to be honest with you, I've done over 40 years of research. I've lived within the borders of Detroit. I've worked within the borders of Detroit. I've had fun within the borders of Detroit. Um, I've had the crap scared out of me in the city of Detroit. I've seen buildings fall and new buildings rise. So you really don't know how much a city, town, or village has impacted you until you sit down and quietly think about what is the impact? Am I a part of that story? How has it shaped me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what writing August Snow and Lives Laid Away has. It's a reflection back to me of what I've seen and what I've learned and experienced in this city.
Awesome. In terms of your characters and your experience, was there a character that was your favorite to write, or just they were so interesting to create because of how they were thinking um and who they are?
That is a very tough question, Brianna, because I hold all of them dearly. Not just August, but his two lady, the neighbors, Carmela and Sylvia. Maybe I can answer your question this way. One of the characters in the first book, and I won't say which one in case someone hasn't read it, but I was at Panera Bread, okay, and I was waiting in line for my morning coffee, okay, and usually I don't go out and buy coffee, but I was by Panera, and it's like, well, all the crazy kids are doing it. So I went in, and there was a group of ladies that I had gotten to know at Panera. They would come in after their Zumba class,
Okay.
and they would have their coffee and their bagel and what have you. And I got to know them fairly well over time. Really good people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm standing in line for my coffee this one time, and I feel this tug on my coat. And I turned, and it was one of the ladies from the group.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to say hi, and she had tears rolling down her cheeks. I kid you not. And she looked at me and she said, "You didn't have to kill so and so," and walked away. And I thought, oh my God, I did kill that character.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me like 2 minutes to realize, wait a minute, it's fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but so I guess my answer to that is you as readers, you as librarians, you can recognize a cutout in fiction,
Mhm.
you know, like that. And so can I. And I don't want to put cutouts
Okay.
in my work. Just full-blooded characters, whether they're good, bad, or somewhere in between.
Mhm.
They've got to be living, breathing entities.
Yes. And Nadine, I'm sure you can agree with me when these full body characters, because we were saying how there are just even side characters who come in, but they have such a personality. And sometimes when that's put into a book, there's a lot of times there's a character, and sometimes they're just there, but each character has like their moment and they're still special, right?
Yes, we were talking about Big Jake, who came kind of, he was there and he was a character that had a small part in the book, but was, really such a memorable character. And I laughed at Big Jake, but I also, you felt for him, his story. You said so much about him in such a, I mean, I can't remember if he was only in one chapter or maybe two, but he was one of my favorites.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm sure all of us have met just briefly, whether waiting in line at Target or what have you. Well, at least before the current situation. People that you found very interesting, very intriguing, if only for a second, and you somehow walk away having a feel for their interior life.
Mhm.
And I think that is what is most important to me when I write. And that's, I don't necessarily sit down and say, wow, I'm going to write a really twisty, turny thriller.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a matter of how characters react to evolving situations. Um, I think that's what I most enjoy doing.
Okay.
Yeah, making the stakes high, yes, of course, but having those human reactions, that spectrum of humanity play out.
Mm. Was there a character who it was I don't want to say it doesn't come easy, but understanding their motive was a little bit of a challenge, or maybe it wasn't a challenge, but it was an interesting pursuit to write about them. Did you have a character in the series or in the first book who trying to understand them was an interesting journey?
Yes, absolutely. And that character for me was Jimmy Radman, is Jimmy Radman.
Mhm.
Um, because there are times, and I'm sure any other writer would tell you this, and if they don't tell you this, they're lying. But there are times when you're writing and you surprise even yourself. It's that feeling of the writing is leading you instead of you leading the story. And Jimmy Radman's first meeting with August Snow, um, kind of, it really shocked me. It really surprised me when I sat back and read it. It was one of those cases where, you're sitting by yourself with your laptop and you find yourself going, I did not see that coming.
Mm-hmm.
And because you didn't see it coming, it's such a surprise that it's like you have to pursue that what does this mean? What is this relationship going to be? So yeah, Jimmy was the surprise to me.
Ooh. Would he, because this is my, like, one of my next question is, which character would you like to bring to lunch, lunch or dinner? Because eating is one of the plenty of moments in there. So who would you like to have dinner or lunch with? Would Jimmy be one of those characters, or is there someone else you have in mind?
You know, it wouldn't be Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
And surprisingly enough, it wouldn't be August.
Okay.
I think the world of August. I think it would be Tomas.
Really?
Tomas is without filters. Um, he's this big grizzly bear who will do whatever his wife Elena says
Mm-hmm.
because he is so in love with her. This wonderful lady, this very socially conscientious activist lady.
Mm-hmm.
Other than her, he is a bear. And he's a bear you don't want to poke at.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just like to have a beer with him at a bar until he got up, finished his beer, and said, "This is boring," and walked out.
Brianna, we have a question from Tony. He
Hey,
said, I read
Tony.
out a notorious film producer was interested in August Snow. Will we be seeing it on the big screen soon?
Thank you so much, Tony, for digging into my dark past. Uh, okay, here's the story. The first two books are with the producer. They are shopping it around, and well-known producer, of whom I won't mention here. But before that, I had I had an agreement with another producer, and my agent and the sub-agent that deals only with film rights,
Mm-hmm.
they kept telling me, "Steve, this doesn't happen. This just doesn't happen." I was like, you know, I'm sitting here in the Midwest going, well, I don't know. It must have done happen. And what they were shocked at was this producer expressing interest in August Snow. And the sub agent at one point called me and said, "Steve, will you have next Tuesday at 12 o'clock free to talk with this producer?" I'm just separating the recycling here. So yeah, what else have I got to do? Yes, of course I'd be glad to speak with this producer. I've seen every movie, every TV show, everything that this producer's done. So Tuesday rolls around and I have this wonderful 20-minute conversation with this producer, and we talk again one other time, and he's going to throw every dime at the screen. You know that I put my blood on the screen. You know that I take care of the properties that I have. And after the second talk, I didn't hear from this producer for like 2 months. And then I saw in the paper what was happening with Harvey Weinstein. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So, yeah, that went away. Thanks, Tony, for bringing that one up.
Gosh, how interesting. How do
Yeah.
you about
I, for
that?
one, would love to see this as a film. I mean, this August Snow's character, I'm sorry, Brianna, I had a little delay. August Snow's character and this cast of characters seem like they're made for a movie. I mean, they just come at you, and the action in this book is so fast paced. And I was telling, as we were reading it together, all of us, I said, I can't put it down. It feels like a movie. So I really hope that that does happen, because I want to see it. But I want to read all the books first.
Thank you. I'll tell you, in my brief dealings with producers and studio heads and all of that, trust me, Hollywood is a beast that moves very slowly. So I'm honored that, it's there, but my job is to make every page count. And that's what I love doing.
Beautiful. One interesting question that came up amongst the librarians is, has most recent events affected your writing for the genre, for crime and police fiction?
That's a very good question, Brianna. And I think it's a question that a lot of mystery and thriller writers are grappling with right now. I wrote the second August Snow book, Lives Laid Away, in my response to the raids that were happening, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, raids that were happening across the country in predominantly Mexican American neighborhoods. I wrote the second book as my visceral response to something that I never thought I would see in my country of America.
Mm-hmm.
And once I finished it, and it was with my publisher, I thought, well, by the time the book is released, this will all have blown over. It will become a dated book.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time the book was released, those raids were still continuing, and we were putting children in cages in Texas. So the problem didn't disappear. The problem went through this atomic blast growth. So yeah, so I think a lot of writers are
Mm-hmm.
wondering how this age will be remembered, and how this age will be documented, how they will document it.
Mm-hmm. But would you say crime and mystery is like your genre, or is that just something that was born from your writing? Did you choose that, or that's just something that kind of happened as you're developing the story?
Quite honestly, I think it just happened while I was developing the story. I've always been a fan of mysteries and thrillers. I mean, come on, let's have a show of hands for people that when you get a cold or the flu in the winter and you're feeling down, there's nothing like a cup of tea with lemon, an Afghan across your shoulders, and an Agatha Christie book.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? So I have read quite a lot of mystery thriller fiction over the years. Dashiell Hammett, Robert B. Parker was my hero, God rest his soul. I am so glad that a couple of people have taken over for him. I was ambivalent about that, but I'm glad Ace Atkins has taken over the Spencer books because Ace Atkins is phenomenal. And a few other folks. But I've always read mysteries, science fiction. Wow, now that I think of it, I've read quite a few cowboy books too.
Yeah.
But somehow I just settled on thrillers, mystery books, because I like the feeling I get, and I'm sure some of you folks too, of it's like a jigsaw puzzle for your mind.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that.
Crafting. Oh, go ahead, Nadine.
Sorry, Brianna, I'm going to jump in for 1 second. We had a couple of comments in the chat. So Tony, when we were talking about putting a blanket on and having your Agatha Christie, he said, me, just add brandy. And Julie Cohen said, me, but with Nero Wolfe book, LOL. And we also had Reed Coleman here at the library, and Tony wanted us to know. And then also a question from Jason was, how much of Steve Jones is in August Snow?
That's a good one.
Hi, Jason. Are you a talk therapist? Let's put it this way. I think some of the humor, I think August and I share some of the snarky humor, but in many ways, he is a projection of myself if I were braver. I have never handled a weapon. I did not serve in the military. I registered for Vietnam, which should tell you how old I am. But yeah, I think he is my alter ego, the person that I would aspire to be without the violence.
Okay. And
also, I just want to remind everyone who's here, who didn't in the beginning, we're going to be doing a raffle afterwards, just to add your name, full name and home library in the chat. And feel free to keep your questions coming. They're great.
yes. But back to crafting a mystery, we'll talk about the crime genre and thrillers. But crafting, these types of books has a formula, right? And as readers, we enjoy these formulas, like whether you're reading a thriller, a mystery, a romance, historical, like time travel, there's some sort of convention of how these books and these stories are told. Is your writing influenced by these expectations that readers have? Do they play a part in how you how you continue August's story besides from the first novel?
You know, that's an excellent question, and the answer is I'm very selfish. I only think about entertaining and telling myself a story. Um, I'm forever grateful that people have enjoyed reading August Snow and Lives Laid Away. I'm humbled by that. But when I'm telling a story, the first audience is me. The first reader is me. And if I find, it's kind of like Elmore Leonard once said, and I may be paraphrasing this, but he said, writing a book is easy. All you do is write the book and cut out all the boring parts. And honestly, if I find myself writing a chapter that is boring me or does not move the story and the characters forward, it's gone. Because I'm not entertaining myself. I'm not moving myself forward. So the first reader is me. I hope everybody comes along for the ride. And that's the way I approach it.
Yeah. No, I definitely don't see that as selfish, because it's, as an artist myself, like I like to paint, I draw. And if you're not interested in something that you're doing, how can you expect someone else to be interested in that effort that you're putting in? So I definitely understand 100%. And for some fun questions now, since we're talking about like kind of movies and you being a playwright and this book that has such a great environment and story, what movie would you like to adapt into a novel given the opportunity?
God, that's really a difficult question. I think you already have a taste of what my taste in movies is. Um, Sorry about that. He just wanted to say hi to everybody out there. I That is really a difficult question. I would have liked to have seen a number of Kurt Vonnegut's works made into films, but I'm sure it would have been just, the films would have been just terrible, because they couldn't capture his sharp sense of humor and social observation. But they were very visual novels.
Yeah.
Galapagos. They tried with oh God, I'm drawing a blank. They tried with two of his novels, including Breakfast of Champions, which was hardly released. I would like to see, and I think my dream is coming true, Isaac Asimov's Foundation series. I love Isaac Asimov. And I think Apple is producing the Foundation series. We'll see how that goes. Wow, you just got me there. There's so many, and
But would there be like a movie that you love that you would like to that you would like to make into a novel? Just because you know how in books you can just understand the thoughts and the the head what's going inside the head of a character. So is there some like a movie that you would like to, flesh out in prose?
Um, to be honest with you, I wish every Francois Truffaut film were a novel.
Okay.
I remember the first time I saw the 400 Blows. And if you have not seen the 400 Blows, that's the English translation of Truffaut's film. That was his first film. I just sat in the theater after the last scene and cried my eyes out. Yeah, any one of Truffaut's films. I did read after I saw the film. Anybody else see this foreign film? Last Year at Marienbad.
No.
Anybody?
Let's see.
It was. Look for that. It was based on a French absurdist novel, and I saw the movie and I thought, well, it's not what I'm used to. I don't know what happened here.
Mm-hmm.
So I read the book. And it's funny because I had the same reaction to the film as I did to the book. And that was, this is bold. It was, please, I invite everyone here, hi folks, read Last Year at Marienbad. And you'll probably, I'm sorry?
I'm writing that down.
Okay. And you'll probably come back to me and say, you made me waste a day of my life.
Which makes me think like I would sit there and just get or just find a way. Because even when something's like, there are books and movies I watched, I'm like, I don't even know if I like this. But like, I find that the more that I'm confused by something, the more that I like it, and I don't understand that. I'm like, Brianna, what's going on?
Well, I'll tell you, as far as film and TV, I think I know we've all had the arguments of TV is a wasteland, and I can hear my parents saying, turn that off, it'll rot your brain and all that. But in all honesty, and you're gonna hate me for saying this, in all honesty, I started learning storytelling from TV and from comic books.
Okay.
Because comic books, they follow that Joseph Campbell evolution of the hero. And that's you can learn storytelling almost anywhere.
Yeah. I'm a big graphic novel and comic book reader. Yeah, there's just, and I'm just a visual person, so it's just cool to have something crafted not only in words, but in color and in form to create a rich story. So,
yes.
Okay. What are you reading right now?
I'm sorry?
Yes. Because I think Nadine was trying to say something. Nadine?
Sorry, yes. So we did have another question about, from Barbara, just when you were talking about the film and making it into a movie, and who would you like to see play August Snow? I'm sure you've heard that before, because I know as I was reading it, I was thinking of all the many actors that I would have cast, but we would like to know who you would cast.
Well, That's been a tough one. Hi, Barbara. I've been asked that and before, and I think my answer has changed a lot. Frankly, at this point, I think maybe, are you familiar with Keegan-Michael Key? He used to be on a comedy show called Key and Peele.
Yeah.
For that reason. Plus the feeling that I owe Keegan one because in my first play, he auditioned for my first play and he was brilliant. He was brilliant. But this was a 17-year-old kid auditioning for the role of a Vietnam veteran. And it was like, you know, wow, you're brilliant, but we don't know how to sell that. So I hate to reject him a second time. Initially, while I was writing the book, I fluctuated between Michael Key and Vin Diesel. And for Tomas, there are a number of really great Hispanic actors out there. But for whatever reason, call me crazy, initially I saw him as a scraggly-haired George Lopez.
Okay.
So I don't know. You folks put your list together, okay?
Well, one of our participants here, Jason, has just said that he pictured as Tomas, he pictured Danny Trejo.
You know, I love me some Danny Trejo. I really love Danny Trejo. That might be kind of too expected. Yeah, Danny, love him.
Yeah, and Jason said, who doesn't agree?
Oh, by the way, he's got a cookbook out now.
It's a cookbook?
Yes.
That's interesting. I'm like writing that down. I was like, cookbook. I just dropped some shit. So should we expect any upcoming work from you in the next couple of months, a year?
What you can expect is, well, this is the first book. This is the second book. And the third August Snow was scheduled for March, but for those of you who haven't heard, there's a pandemic going on, and which has really impacted so many lives in so many ways. And the publishing industry is virtually shut down. My publisher, most folks are working from home, so Soho thought it was best, and I certainly agree with them, to move the release date to May. And that book is, the title is Dead of Winter, and it is an August Snow mystery. And so May 4th, may the 4th be with you. That's when that's coming out. Which also brings me to this. I know I get a little long-winded, but you know, having a family with, you know, my wife and 3 kids, this is the most I have to be able to talk. Thank you. I'd like to remind everybody that's here that there are writers who have released books during this period, where bookstores are closed, libraries have been affected greatly. And those folks who have released books, great books, really have no way to support them other than getting the word out themselves. So I guess that's my way of saying, everybody out there, explore, find these new books that are out, support these people, these writers, these wonderful writers, writers like Karen Dion. Karen Dion has her new book. And for those of you who don't know who Karen Dion is, her book last year, the year before, was The Marsh King's Daughter. She's a Michigan author also. Her new book is The Wicked Sister.
Okay.
And it's tremendous. I don't think Karen will have too much of a problem, finding readers, but I got to tell you, there are just so many other writers. Ace Atkins just released a new book, The Revelators. None of these folks can go out bookstore to bookstore, library to library, and talk to people. And that's we may complain about a travel schedule, we may fetch about it, but the truth of the matter is we love meeting folks. We love talking with you folks in person. We love seeing you and hearing from you, being in that independent bookstore, being in that library. So just explore what books have been released. Okay? Do that for me. Do that for them.
No problem. Oceanside is a community of readers, and I don't think that will be an issue to continue to explore all these wonderful writers that are emerging today, and who we'd love to meet them. That's what I can say. We're talking
Yes.
to and talk about their books and what they're doing. So thank you. But before we close off our event, is there any more questions for Steve? How are we doing?
The chat is up to date. If you have any last minute questions, pop them in that chat and we'll get them, we'll answer them right away.
I guess I have one more question. And what are you reading? Do you have any recommendation for our readers?
Well, I just read The Arc of Holly Watt's new book. Holly Watt wrote the book last year, year before, To the Lions. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And Holly is a British writer. She has a new book out called The Deadline. I don't know how long it will be in getting across the pond, but Holly is a wonderful writer. How do I know she's a wonderful writer? Because Holly and I were up for the same United Kingdom Crime Writers Steel Dagger Award, the Ian Fleming Steel Dagger Award. I was nominated for Lives Laid Away. She was nominated for what did I just say? to the Lions.
Mhm.
And we both shortlisted, and she won the award. Well, anyway, that's how I know she's really good. I'll read Holly Watt any day of the week. Rachel Housel Hall has a new book coming out. If you have not read John Virtue's 3/5, you are certainly missing out on fine writing. Oh, Mike Lupica has got a new Sally Randall mystery out, writing for the Robert Parker Foundation.
Okay.
And Mike is just phenomenal. If you didn't read the first Sally Randall book that he wrote for Parker, read it. He's got a new one out. And Ace Atkins continues to write the Spencer books, but he's got his book out, The Revelators, well worth reading. So there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Revelators.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Of course. Just there you go.
The wonderful August Snow series too.
May 4th.
May 4th. What do we have here? Heidi, I love Mike Lupica's kids chapter books. It's interesting you said Mike Lupica because I know him from children's and teen books. I was like, cool, that's different.
Right. Well, as I understand, Mike was a good friend of the Parker family.
Okay.
And they specifically wanted him to continue Sally Randall's story. And yeah, I've known Mike since, I don't know him personally, but we've traded notes here and there. But I would read my son all of Mike's YA books. Even when Jake was old enough to read, I was reading them to him. It's like, Dad, come on, I got this. No, I want to read it too.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, I'm just support writers.
Support writers. And I think this would be a great final question. It's from Jason. Favorite place to eat in Mexican Town?
Oh, Jason. Oh, that's the curveball I can't hit, man. Xochimilco's is still, they've been doing a great job for a long time. Taqueria del Rey, they do a wonderful job. With either restaurant, when you're done, you have to go to La Gloria. That's the bakery. And get some cinnamon and sugar churros. They do a wonderful job. You could pitch a handful of pea gravel and hit a great Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
And you might even hit one great Vietnamese restaurant, Flowers of Vietnam. Fantastic food. So I tried to hit the curveball, Jason. How'd that do?
Perfect. So we are at the end of our awesome event. Stephen, thank you so much for being here and talking to us and our readers. We really, really appreciate it. And we look forward to any of your upcoming work, May 4th.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And to everybody that's listening now, watching, support Oceanside. These people are there for you. They're there to keep your imaginations going, to show you what is a great read. They are there for the community. So thank you very much, Brianna.
Thank you. All right, so anyone who's put their name in to the raffle, we are about to do that drawing, so please stick around. And just another thank you to the community, our readers, and for anyone who's participating in our event tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Your participation is important, it's valuable, and it's something that just really makes us as librarians and the library a great community place. So thank you so much.
I'm going to let you go, folks. Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you.
Of course. My pleasure.